Bon dia, benvingudes i benvinguts a aquest cicle de conferències que iniciem avui per presentar-vos i aprofundir en els diferents programes de finançament europeu que poden estar enfocats al tercer sector social. Com sabeu, entrem en el programa 21-27 de la Comissió Europea i els diferents programes de finançament europeu han patit algunes modificacions respecte a anys anteriors i a partir d'avui i durant les properes setmanes i mesos el que volem és presentar-vos de la mà d'expertes i experts en aquests programes en les diferents característiques perquè les entitats socials tingueu més facilitats per presentar-vos en aquests programes. Des de la taula del tercer sector, ja l'any passat vam iniciar un pla d'enfortiment del sector que té com a objectiu millorar les capacitats de gestió de les entitats i entre elles està la capacitat d'accés a finançament que necessitem. Aleshores, per nosaltres la prioritat és la formació, la dotació de recursos i eines a les entitats per millorar les seves capacitats i veiem que els fons europeus són una gran oportunitat per a les entitats socials. Des de la taula estem dient contínuament que hem de perdre la por a presentar-nos a programes europeus, però que no hem de ser ingenus i hem de saber també la complexitat d'aquests programes i tot el que requereixen. Per això, des de la taula, l'any passat vam fer una guia enfocada a les entitats socials, que teniu també al nostre web i de la qual estem preparant un web propi sobre fons europeus. I ara iniciem, hem fet una formació també més específica i ara iniciem aquest cicle de conferències que concretament enfocaran en cadascun dels programes. Aleshores, avui tenim amb nosaltres el Francesco Zoya Bolzonello, que és el responsable del programa CERV. El programa CERV és el programa enfocat a Ciutadania, Equitat, Drets i Valors de fons europeus. Aleshores, res, simplement dir-vos també que agraïm molt la participació i la coorganització d'aquest cicle de conferències de la Secretaria d'Acció Exterior de la Generalitat de Catalunya. Avui tenim amb nosaltres la Conxita Font, responsable de fons europeus d'aquesta secretaria, i ja simplement li dono la paraula perquè també faci aquesta benvinguda. Gràcies i que tingueu una bona jornada.
Moltíssimes gràcies, Anna. No sé si se'm veu ara mateix.
Sí, perfectament, Conxita.
Sí? Perfecte. Doncs bon dia a tothom, també des de la Secretaria d'Acció Exterior del Govern, de la Conselleria d'Acció Exterior i Govern Obert de la Generalitat de Catalunya. És per nosaltres un gran plaer estar avui aquí organitzant aquesta jornada amb la taula d'entitats del tercer sector social de Catalunya, adreçada a orientar les entitats del tercer sector sobre les oportunitats de finançament europeu en aquest període 21-27 que tot just ara comença. Aquest agraïment a la taula és ben sincer, òbviament. Vam començar una col·laboració molt estreta ja l'any passat, des de la perspectiva del finançament europeu, amb aquella jornada, podria dir multitudinària, en la qual vam fer un overview dels diferents programes de finançament de la Unió Europea que tenen un contingut més social i, per tant, adreçat a les entitats que conformeu la taula del tercer sector social. Com has dit molt bé, Anna, estem en un moment molt propici per a poder ja endinsar-nos a fons en els diferents programes de finançament europeu. Ens trobem a les portes de l'aplicació dels recursos del que coneguem com a Next Generation EU, és a dir, és una gran oportunitat aquests recursos per al conjunt de les entitats de la ciutadania de la Unió Europea i en aquest cas també de Catalunya i de l'estat espanyol. En breu s'espera que ja es pugui donar tret de sortida a les diferents convocatòries i a les diferents oportunitats i, per tant, hem d'estar alerta per veure quines oportunitats també per les entitats de la taula hi pot haver. I també s'estan publicant ja o estan ja gairebé publicats el conjunt dels fons europeus i dels programes de finançament que estan sota el paraigües del marc financer pluriennal de la Unió Europea 21-27, pel període 21-27, i en aquest marc també les diferents direccions generals de la Comissió Europea i les diferents agències executives de la Comissió Europea també estan desplegant, podria dir que massivament, les convocatòries ja a compte dels diferents programes de finançament, també del programa que analitzarem més en profunditat avui, el programa de Ciutadania, Igualtat, Drets i Valors, amb el qual el ponent d'avui ens il·lustrarà sobre quines oportunitats hi ha i com participar-hi. Dins d'aquest ventall, d'aquesta quarantena de programes de finançament europeu que estan sota el paraigües del marc financer, el que avui analitzarem, el programa Erasmus, el programa del Cos Europeu de Solidaritat, que tindreu ocasió de conèixer més en profunditat demà, o l'Horizon Europe, que abasta tot el gran ventall de la recerca i la innovació, o els fons de la cohesió, els programes de desenvolupament regional de la Unió Europea. Tots aquests programes, tota aquesta normativa que cobreix aquests programes ja està pràcticament tot en vigor i, per tant, ja estan molt a punt i ja en marxa les diferents convocatòries de finançament. Des del nostre Departament d'Acció Exterior i Govern Obert, i en concret des de la nostra unitat de fons europeus de la Conselleria d'Exteriors, el nostre objectiu és donar a conèixer tot aquest ventall de finançament europeu a la vostra disposició, a la disposició del conjunt de les entitats i de la ciutadania de Catalunya. Pensem que coneixeu la web dels fons europeus a Catalunya, que teniu a la vostra disposició si entreu dins del web d'Exteriors. Us oferim allí tota la informació del conjunt, del ventall de possibilitats, tant dels programes del marc financer com també del Next Generation EU. Per tant, us convidem a que hi feu una ullada i també, si teniu ocasió, us subscriviu al butlletí electrònic que cada setmana publiquem i us enviem als vostres correus electrònics si us doneu d'alta, i allí hi trobareu cada setmana amb una ràpida ullada les diferents novetats, les diferents informacions relacionades amb el ventall del finançament europeu a disposició de vosaltres i de totes les entitats de Catalunya. Avui analitzarem un programa en concret d'aquest marc financer, aquest nou programa de Ciutadania, Igualtat, Drets i Valors. És un programa nou pel format, això ens ho explicarà millor el senyor Zoya, però ja el coneixem una mica perquè aquest programa és la fusió de dos programes existents en el període anterior, en el període 2014-2020. Les entitats de Catalunya hi hem participat i heu participat tant en el programa el REC, que és el conegut, aquestes sigles que identificaven el programa de Drets, Igualtat i Ciutadania. Una vintena d'entitats de Catalunya heu obtingut projectes, heu participat en projectes finançats pel REC amb un pressupost de l'ordre de 2,6 milions d'euros, per tant, interessant. I amb el programa Europa amb els ciutadans, Europa amb la ciutadania, que és l'altra, diguem-ne, branca d'aquest nou programa, doncs les entitats que hi han participat són una desena, però el volum de finançament és superior amb prop de 3,1 milions d'euros. Per tant, el marge de creixement és important. Nosaltres pensem que accions com la d'avui, com la que organitzem amb la taula d'entitats del tercer sector, van en la senda correcta per a informar, per a maximitzar l'aprofitament d'aquests recursos i, com ha dit l'Anna Alvareda, participar en fons europeus pot semblar complicat, però si es coneixen els mecanismes, doncs no ho és tant. I us animem a que conegueu els mecanismes i que hi aposteu i participeu. Avui comptem amb un ponent d'excepció. És un ponent que coneix al dedillo, si es pot dir així, aquest programa, perquè és un dels seus mànagers a la Direcció General de Justícia i Consumidors de la Comissió Europea. Per tant, de primera mà, el senyor Francesco Zoia Bolsonello ens explicarà el contingut d'aquest programa. Com us he dit, és una persona que des de la Comissió Europea hi està treballant des de dins i, per tant, qui millor que ell per a explicar-nos-el. Francesco, senyor Zoia, és un plaer per nosaltres, pel Govern de Catalunya, per la Conselleria d'Acció Exterior, poder comptar amb la seva presència aquí. Li agraïm moltíssim que una vegada més estigui amb nosaltres. Ja vam tenir l'ocasió d'escoltar-lo i de seguir-lo i d'aprendre de les vostres explicacions, de les seves explicacions al mes de desembre de l'any passat. I com ens va agradar tant, doncs li hem d'agrair que torni a estar amb nosaltres en aquesta ocasió. Mr. Zoia, pleased to meet you and thank you for joining us here today. Us deixo amb les explicacions del senyor Zoia i ens veurem més tard a l'ocasió de les preguntes que puguin sorgir. Senyor Zoia, té la paraula, sisplau. Moltes gràcies.
Thanks to you, Ms. Pont. It's really important that you have these relations also with member states and the regions, and we appreciate your effort in communicating and raising awareness about EU funds. So I wish that all the regions, that also in every member states in Europe, could do such seminars or such meetings, because it is important that we're here for deploy the budget for the civil society organizations, for the public authorities. So this is an excellent opportunity that you are giving me in order to advertise and to encourage all of you that you're listening to apply for this funding available. I understand that I can start my presentation now, and I will be talking for the next. I will speak slowly because I think that there is an interpretation. So what I will be talking about, it's about the Citizens, Equality, Rights and Values program. I have a set of slides which I will immediately show in a few minutes to you. And the message that these slides that contain a lot of links and a lot of useful information will be given out to you. So you will have in written all what I'm saying, with all the links on where to apply, on how to apply, on to whom ask questions. So you will be having the slides with all this information. This is my first point. I will start immediately by saying that the Citizens, Equality, Rights and Values program, it's a new program which has a budget of 1.5 billion euros. It's an enormous budget. What I will be speaking to you this morning is what is this program about? The first point, what we want to fund, so the work program, so what do we look for in 2021 and 2022? This is my second point that I will go through with you this morning. And my third point is how to apply and how to get this funding and how we evaluate the projects, okay? So I'll start from the first. It's the Citizens' Equality, Rights and Values Program. It's a flagship program of the Commission, which has the objective to protect and promote the rights and values in the EU. And what I'm talking about, rights and values in the EU, these are the reference, it's for us is Article 2 of the treaty, which means the respect for freedom, for democracy, for equality, for the rule of law, for human rights and the rights of persons belonging to minorities. So this is, we see this as the overreaching principle that this program funds. So every action that goes into this direction, equality, non-discrimination, justice, rule of law, gender equality, and so on. This budget of 1.5 billion euros is for the next 7 years. It starts now in 2021. And let me tell you that when we started at the beginning, the budget was smaller, was of 740 million euros. This was what the Commission proposed initially. However, during the negotiations with the Council and the Parliament, it became clear the importance of these funds, which was increased for more than double its size. And here we are with 1.5 billion. This program, for those that are familiar with funding program in the Commission, comes from two former programs. It's a merge of these two programs. It's the Europe for Citizens program and the Rights, Equality and Citizenship program. These are the two predecessors that now makes the Citizens' Equality, Rights and Values. And in these programs, we had targeted and we will continue under this program to target the areas of intervention such as non-discrimination, the fight against racism, xenophobia, homophobia, biphobia, and so on, Afrophobia, anti-Semitism, anti-Muslim hatred. We will promote the rights of the child. We will promote gender equality. We will promote the rights of persons with disabilities. We will promote data protection, EU citizenship rights, the rights of the citizens thanks to the European citizenship. And we will promote action that fight gender-based violence and violence against children. We will also fund actions for European remembrance in the area of remembrance, such as the Holocaust remembrance and other important events in history of the European Union. And also we will fund the town twinning and network of towns event for specifically public authorities. What we have, the budget available, it's divided into 4 different strands, into 4 different areas. The first one is what we call union values. So we will have projects for grassroots organizations, civil society organizations, very small civil organizations. This is one of the new objectives of the program, to reach out to the local level and to give funding opportunities to small organizations. And we have under this union values area, 700 million that will be deployed, and we will have a call for proposals for 50 million that will open soon. I will speak you, I will tell you soon about it. So the second point, the second strand that we have is the strand on equality, rights and gender equality, where we will tackle non-discrimination, gender equality, the fight against racism, and the strand, so an area of Daphne, which means gender-based violence, the fight against gender-based violence and violence against children. And these two strands, the equality and rights strand and toughness strand, they amount for 470 million. And the last one is also citizens engagement and participation, where we have European Remembrance actions. It has around a budget of 4 million euros. So those are the four strands of the program. This is how the budget is divided. And I understand that I'm giving you a lot of information, but this breakdown in these areas will be available to you in the slides. So what actions actually I can start showing my screen so that you can see also this breakdown probably. So I do share the screen and I'll share my presentation. Voila, so here it is. I hope that you can all see it. What I've just spoke about, it's here. It's the breakdown of the objectives and the budget that you can see here in the slide. So what actions are we talking about? So what we fund is training activities, capacity building, mutual learning. We fund awareness raising and dissemination activities, media campaigns. We fund analytical studies, researches, surveys, and evaluation. These are the types of actions that we fund. And the beneficiaries, in this case, will be you. It's public and private entities, ministries at every level, towns, civil society organizations, which are legally established in EU member states. So this funding is available for the moment for EU member states. There is a possibility for third countries to join the program. I'm thinking, for instance, about neighborhood countries, and this has to be agreed. Let's say I take Serbia, but I take also other countries. It has to be agreed with the Commission through a partnership agreement. And this will have to be signed, and you will be informed whether a partnership agreement will be signed also to third countries in order to join the program. But for the moment, it's only for EU member states. And also for you to know that we try, to channel this fund through non-for-profit organizations, which means that profit-oriented organizations have some limited access, and there are some limitations in the call for proposals that I will talk to you later to see whether they can apply or not. And of course, the funding is open also to international organizations. One important point for you is that we have a program contact points. So in every member state, there are program contact points, and I know that Spain has a program contact points. It used to be the program contact points, something that we inherited from the previous program, from the Europe for Citizens program. There used to be these contact points, which means it can be civil organizations or also from the ministries, people from the ministries, so people one contact point per member states that deploys information about funding and helps applicants to apply. And the former contact points of Spain, of Europe of Citizens, it is also and will be the contact point for this program still for the CERV program. So I will invite you, and you will have the links later in the slides to where the contact points are published, and in order for you to contact them for further information besides everything that I'm telling you now. So also during the call for proposal stage, you can ask for support, of course, to the European Commission and also to the program points of the member states. And now I'm here to move to the second point of my presentation. I've told you that I would have been speaking about the program as a whole, and then the second point was about the work program and the concrete actions that we fund this year and next year. And my third point will be and how to apply. So the work program, it's a document which contains the different funding opportunities for 2021 and 2022 very concretely. It is published, you have the link here. And in this document, you have outlined the policy priorities, the budget, the activities, the eligibility of these activities, and these award criteria. So everything it's contained, it's in this Word document where you have the different co-proposals, the budget, and the activities and results. I will help you to go through this. These are the call for proposals available to you in 2021 and in 2022. I have to say that the whole program amounts to 290 million euros. So it's quite substantial for these 2 years, and it's breakdown in this call for proposals. Here it's one, we have several calls, this one, and voila. So these are all the calls that we have, I think around 10, even more. I will go through with you one by one of each of these calls, and I'll be happy to hear if you have any questions more. So here you have the general overview. Let's start from the first one. This is a call for proposals on what we say the union values. It's for 50 million euros. It will be published this end of October. And what we're looking for here is to encourage and facilitate active and inclusion participation and building of more democratic EU, and raising awareness on the rights and the values through support to civil society organizations. So sorry, the screen was paused. So these 50 millions are for civil society organizations available. How this will work in the in the call for proposals, we will first select intermediaries organizations, which means around 10 to 15 medium-sized organizations that through which we will give these grants, and then they will sub-grant all this money. So once again, we will give these 15 organizations. These 15 organizations, they will be in the member states, and they will manage around 3-4 million each. And the objective is that these organizations, they will have to channel the funding, small funding, to grassroots organizations in the EU. And we count that we aim to support around 700 small grassroots organizations in Catalonia, in the whole Spain, in every member state from Lithuania, Slovenia, Germany, France, and so on. So this is what we look for, activities that help us to support the EU values of the rule of law, of democracy, of non-discriminations, on equality. And so if you are an intermediate organization, so a medium-sized organizations, a serious organization, I invite you to apply to this call for proposals, and you will be managing a size of 3-4 million. And then if you are a small grassroots organizations, I then invite you to have a look once this call for proposal is out, and once these medium-sized organizations are selected, to contact these medium-sized organizations, because from them you will be getting the funding. This is for the Union Values Call. We will have also a second call for proposals on the capacity building and awareness on the EU Charter and activities on strategic litigation. So what we understood and what came when we made our consultation is that not all the EU Charter of Fundamental Rights is not very known. So we want to support the implementation of this charter. And we also want to fund training activities on strategic litigation. If you are a fundamental rights activist or you're working in this area, you know that that litigation is a way to bring forward equality and non-discrimination. So we will support trainings trainings for those organizations that would like to engage in such litigations. Voilà. This is trainings that we make available for civil society organizations in order to advance rights, basically. We have another call for proposal to promote equality and fight against racism, xenophobia, and discrimination. One call was just closed a few weeks ago. We will open another one soon in November for 12 million euros, and I invite you to apply. This is for the fight against intolerance, racism, xenophobia, discrimination, hate crimes, hate speech. This is a second priority. We will support action for the diversity management in the workplace, in both public and private sectors, in enterprise and even ministries. A third policy priorities is we will fund actions that fight the discrimination about LGBTIQ and that promote equality of this community. I know it's very much needed. And a fourth priority is on hate speech online and on the hatred that has been going on and fueling in the internet and in the social networks. And a last one is for public authorities. So as I was mentioning at the beginning of my presentation, this program is open for civil society organizations, for public authorities, and you can apply to all the call for proposals. However, in this specific priority, we have a budget of 1.5 million, which is available if you, as applicant, are a public authorities. And here I'm looking also at the at Catalonia, because this is funding that through which we want them to, for instance, implement the non-discrimination directives, the equality directives, or the implementation of the framework decision to fight racism and xenophobia, or also data collection. I know that public authorities have been very much involved on the data collection on incidents of hate crime. So we have particularly we have particularly targeted public authorities in order to support them with their work. And more information are available in the text of the call proposals. You will be clicking here and you will see the whole text. We will have also another call for proposals for national Roma contact points. I'll probably skip this one because I believe there are no national contact points here. There are no Roma contact points in this meeting, but we will publish it nevertheless. We will also have a gender equality, call for proposals to promote gender equality for 7 million euros. You will be able to apply this fall in November. And we established these two priorities on the equal participation and representation of women and men in political and economic decision-making. This is in line with the equality, with the gender equality strategies, because we see that there is not enough representation of women, especially if we see in the private sector, only 8% of CSOs are women, and only 32% of members of the national parliament are women in average. And we would like to promote the increase, of course, to increase these numbers. And the second priority, it's to tackling gender stereotypes. And why we see that gender stereotypes are symptoms of structural gender inequality and continues to reinforce gender inequality, those stereotypes. So we will support actions that promote positive messages and portrays equality and equal chances for girls and boys, for women and men, in order to encourage behavioral change. This is what we will be looking at. In the call for proposal of the rights of the child, that it is currently open, so I invite you to apply. There will be also a second one that will open this fall, but still the current one, it is still open. We will fund actions that contribute to the response and impact of the COVID-19 pandemic in particular, for the rights of minors, for children, and that contribute to the implementation of recommendations on the EU strategy on the rights of the child. So once again, we know how the COVID pandemic has impacted children, and we will support actions for that fight inequalities in the different family situation, in groups, in regions that were exacerbated by the pandemic, where children were suffering. We have then a call for proposals on data protection. These are for data protection authorities, so I will skip also this. Here it's European remembrance. So this is in continuation with the former Europe for Citizens program. One call was closed, but the second one will open in November. And in line with the EU strategy, with the upcoming strategies on combating anti-Semitism, we will support the commemoration and research and education about all totalitarian regimes, in particular Holocaust remembrance. We will be looking at Holocaust remembrance this year. And then we will also support projects about the resistance and the democratic transition, and the consolidations in the EU. So projects should analyze and highlight how the resistance and the organized opposition to totalitarian regimes led up to a democratic transition in Europe and democratic consolidation in Europe. And please, the focus is of course on remembrance. However, this idea of EU accessions and the idea of how the EU contributed to democratic consolidations can be explored also now on what are now the current challenges, for instance, to democracy in the EU, and how from the past we can learn how we can deal with these current challenges that we have, if we have any challenge now in the EU. We will have another call on citizens engagement. It's 18 million euros, so quite substantial. We will be looking at projects that will look at the European elections that will come up in 2022. So we know that the European Parliament elections are crucial for democracy. So if you have any actions that will strengthen the efforts and participation of citizens in elections, please, this is the priority and the call for you. It should promote EU citizenship rights, so the rights to freely move in the EU, for instance, and to reside anywhere in the EU, and contribute to the implementation of these rights. This is for the first priority. We will have also, of course, a priority on how the COVID pandemic has impacted the democratic debate in the EU, whether there were some limitations and how this actually can be overcome now. We will look at innovative approaches on all approaches that citizens can have via e-democracy. So anything that can make the citizens' voice heard in the digital arena, in the digital area. And also we will tackle disinformation and other forms of interference in democracy that probably you have witnessed in this time, in these years. And last but not least, we will also launch some opportunities to fund the discussions around the climate and the environment, which we understand it's also a very prominent issue now in the agenda of many of us. And last but not least, we have calls which are currently open on town twinning and networks of town. These are for towns and municipalities that they partners with each other in Europe. And basically what we look for here is to increase again the richness, so to foster the richness and the diversity that we have in Europe in the different towns, in the different regions, so to explore and to share this cultural diversity, the role of minorities that we have in Europe, again, once again, equality and to fight discrimination and racism. So all the best practices that are in place between the different towns that can be shared in order, voila, to once again to foster the democratic debate on or the inclusion of citizens. Yeah, this is for more information you can see on how to apply in the text of the call. But this is, of course, the overreaching themes that we have. Last but not least, it's the DAPHNE, it's gender equality, the gender-based violence fight that we have. So the deadline has closed for this call for proposal. So I will immediately go for the second DAPHNE call that will be published this fall. So on the first priority, we have so much money available, 27 million. We will look at large-scale projects. This is only for the first priority, I want to assure you, and transnational action, because we want, let's say, to increase the impact. To increase the impact of our actions, and these are actions that will tackling, I have it, harmful practice such as female genital mutilation and forced sterilization and domestic violence as well. So increasing the awareness and support service for victims of domestic violence. Then this will also we will also support actions that fight online violence targeting women and girls. And actually, you will see the different priorities are listed here: combating and preventing violence linked to harmful practices, and then primary prevention and support on gender-based violence. Also, I have to mention violence in the world of work. Then we will have a priority on the national data collection on violence against children, because we feel that we need to have more data on this, and that prevent and support the child victims of violence. These are the actions that we will be supporting. I'll skip this for operating grants. These are actually, this is already closed, is to support European level networks. And the third part of my presentation, it's on how to apply. So what do you have to do in order to have this money? First, here's the link to the Funding and Tender Opportunities portal. You will click and you will have all the applications. Here's it's the text of the call for proposals. So every call for proposals has a text which highlights the activities, the budget, the results, and so on. It's an example. And for any questions, please address your question here. Okay, through this functional mailbox. There are people behind this functional mailbox. Here's what the proposal structure looks like. So it's a document with a part, there is a part A, so it's an online form that you will have to fill in, and you will have to indicate your general information, your budget, who is participating, the partners. Then there is a part B, so it's a document where you will have the different activities highlighted, the needs assessment, the target groups, and this is the second part of your application. And the third part is on data indicators, where you will highlight, it's just a line of indicators. You highlight whether you want to focus on awareness raising or research activities, and how many people you will reach via these activities. And you have also some annexes on the CVs of the staff that you will work in the project, on the annual activity report of the coordinator, so what you have been doing, and any list of previous projects that you have been funded. Here it's in more details, the project summary in part B and everything that you will need to indicate. The objective needs analysis, the EU added value of your actions, methodology, consortium. I will let you read through these informations. The impact, it's important that you highlight what you want to achieve, and not only the activities, but what is the reason why you will have these projects. Here's how it looks like, the application form, and how you can download. Here you have part B. This is how in the funding and tender opportunity portal looks like, and where you will upload your documents. Something that I would like to now go through is the evaluation procedure. I think it's how and what we value in the projects. I think it's important for you to understand. I'll directly go through the award criteria. So what we look into a project. We have an overall score of 100, and we evaluate projects upon relevance, quality, and impact. These are the three criteria, and please have a look at what we want to fund in the project. So we are asking you to make an needs assessment on why in this particular region, in this particular municipality, in this particular context, what are the problems that you observe, what are the needs that you need to cover. If there is, once again, for anything, it can be non-discrimination, gender equality, gender-based violence, for all the calls that I talked you through. Please explain us what is the situation on the ground, and identify the target groups, and please try to also be clear if we're speaking about Roma. It's, for instance, it's not about the whole Roma population, it's about probably Roma women, or a certain age group, or with a certain ethnic background, or please try to be concrete, as much as concrete as possible, who you want to support, and the EU added value of the actions. We do look for projects that implement union policies and law. So everything from the quality directives, from the policies, many policy strategies that we've been issuing in the European Commission, namely we have the European Gender Equality Strategy, the Anti-Racism Strategy, the strategy on the rights of the child. So all these policy documents that highlight what we're looking for, what the European Commission is doing. Please make a link and tell us how you want to help these principles and these strategies. How do you want to implement these strategies, even at the very local level? I'm sure that I know that the principles are the same, and voilà. And this is sorry, something that I should have mentioned. The projects are both national and transnational, so you can have national projects and also transnational projects. Of course, if you have a transnational project, we'll look at the cross-border cooperation between countries and the transfer of good practices. If you have a national project, you can still highlight the potential that this project has for cooperation in other countries and for replicating good practices in other countries or other regions. On the quality, here we'll look at the links between the needs and the objectives. So you explain us the problem, you tell us what activities you want to do, trainings, awareness raising campaign, mutual learning seminars, and how these activities will help you to, for instance, also at your local level, to achieve some results and some impact on the target groups. And this is what we look for, that there is a streamline of sense in the project. We look at the organization of work between the different partners, whether there is any risks that you've identified in the project and how you will mitigate this. And also about ethical issues, we look, for instance, on the EU values. We ask, of course, that every members are there in the EU values. And if I know that there are some sensitive issues treated in some of our calls, of course, it's data protection if you collect some data from some sensitive groups. So please let us know how you want to handle these issues. And we look also at the financial feasibility and cost effectiveness of the budget of the program. So with respect to the activities, of course, the ratio between the activities and the human resources, or the size of the results that you want to achieve with respect to the budget that you ask. Something that is also important, I haven't mentioned before, throughout the projects, we look for gender equality and non-discrimination mainstreaming. So it means that at every stage of the project, please consider the involvement of all groups, whether at any stage, during even the design of the project, during the implementation of the project. Voila, this is, please include also a gender perspective that your activities may reach, and the target may be very diversified. So this is important that you consider this throughout the project. Last but not least, the impact. So we understand that the grants that we give, it may be very small. It can be of 100,000 euros. It can be of 500,000 euros. Please be, in a sense, I invite you to be realistic with the impact that you want to achieve. We understand, once again, the limitation of the size of the project and of the budget. So please, if you focus on your intervention, it's very much welcome. Something that is very much concrete. We will look at the dissemination strategy, how you want to disseminate about the results of your project, and whether this can be multiplied, can be replicated. Sorry, the multiplier effect. What we mean here is that if we train, I say on support services for victims of violence, and how this can be then the multiplier effect, how this will have an impact on the different target groups. So if we train 10, 15, 20, 100 practitioners, how this then has an effect on the numbers of people that will be reached. This is also important. Here, a suggestion on what makes a good project. It has to be relevant, in line with the policy priorities. I've mentioned before the policy priorities, whether it is about the call on non-discrimination and fighting against racism. We have a focus, for instance, on anti-Gypsyism, on anti-Muslim hatred, on anti-Semitism, on Afrophobia, also on the homophobia and LGBTI plus phobia. So please have a look and try to make the link with these policy priorities. Also, once again, please let us know the needs in the field, in your concrete region area that you want to address. A strong partnership, of course, is very much welcome between the different partners. I know it entails some effort to build some partnership. There's a minimum requirement in most of the calls of 2 project partners. It can be 2, it can be 3, it can be 4. It's up to you. We are open. We're open. For us, it's exactly, we're open to any kind of project. And the EU dimension that I've mentioned, and especially if you're looking at national project, simply please make the link between the different policies, directives, EU law that we have, and the link to the ground. So we understand that if you want to have something very local, of course, you will be looking more about the implementation of policies, equality policies, rather than looking for big transnational corporations, and that's perfectly fine. Last but not least, realistic results, that once again, we understand the constraint that projects may have. All this, we have reference documents in the Funding and Tender Opportunities portal. So here is where you can find the regulation of the program, the work program for 2021 and 2022, the model grant agreements, the application form. Here is a link and where you will find it. You will find also this information in each call for proposals. And the link of the call proposal is in the slides that I show you above. To give you an example, we have the list of projects that were awarded. So if you look at the bottom of the past call for proposals, here is an example. We have the projects, the summary, and the participants. And we do have also projects and results tab in the Funding and Tender portal, where you will click and you will be able to filter according to the call for proposals, and you will be able to see hundreds of projects for you to get inspired of. Sorry, and this will show you the results of projects of the past 5 years, of what was awarded, who was awarded, where it was this project awarded. So I invite you also to have a look. And I'll stop here with my presentation. I know it was quite long and extensive, and I hope you were able to follow me. Voila. I know there were a lot of information, so really I try. Yes, you will have these slides available. I'll stop here and please, Ms. Font, the floor is back to you, and I'm open for any questions that you may have.
Doncs molt bé, moltes gràcies, senyor Zoya. Heu fet una presentació exhaustiva de les possibilitats de finançament dins d'aquest programa que fusiona el que coneixíem abans com el Dret, Igualtat i Ciutadania i Europa amb la ciutadania o Europa amb els ciutadans. Hem vist que aquest nou programa abasta qüestions tan importants i tan malauradament de rabiosa actualitat com és les discriminacions o com pot ser els valors i els drets i valors a la Unió Europea, les qüestions relacionades amb la memòria històrica i fins i tot els agermanaments entre municipis, entre ciutats i les xarxes de ciutadania i de ciutats. Per tant, hi ha un abast, el programa abasta moltíssimes qüestions importantíssimes i que segurament a Catalunya tindrem entitats que hi treballen i que estaran ansioses per saber com poden aprofitar els recursos i com participar en les diferents convocatòries que hi han hagut i que continuaran havent-hi des d'ara i fins a la fi del programa, que és el 2027. Per tant, hi ha un gran recorregut. Heu explicat, senyor Zoya, molt abastament l'abast del programa, però li volia traslladar algunes qüestions que han sorgit arran de la seva explicació. L'audiència pregunta, i això és una qüestió que sí, es passarà el PowerPoint i es podrà consultar tota la informació i tots els enllaços que hi heu disposat, senyor Zoya. S'enviarà la presentació, el PDF. Recordin que el webinar estarà disponible properament a la web de la Taula d'Entitats del Tercer Sector Social de Catalunya i, per tant, qui vulgui podrà tornar-lo a visualitzar. I vaig a formular-li alguna de les qüestions que s'han plantejat. Primerament, la senyora Laura Safont diu que és una organització no governamental basada a Catalunya que està a punt de presentar un projecte a la convocatòria d'Igualtat dels Infants. Ella es pregunta que quina diferència hi ha entre presentar un projecte abans del 7 de setembre o després a la convocatòria del novembre de 2021 i si les prioritats són les mateixes. En aquest cas, si li sembla, senyor Zoya, li formularé les preguntes que hi ha de moment i si és tan amable de respondre, després, en una segona tanda, formularé les preguntes que hi pugui haver. El Francesc, del Fòrum de Salut Mental, demana, sisplau, si podeu recordar quants partners es necessiten per presentar-se a aquestes convocatòries. I en la mateixa línia, la Mireia Álvarez demana quants països serien necessaris presentar-se a les convocatòries. Això va en la mateixa línia dels partners. I, finalment, una altra i l'última pregunta per ara. Diu, entenem que el període de sol·licitud és el novembre, però quin és el plaç per a inscriure's aproximadament? Entenc que aquesta pregunta demana quina és la metodologia per a poder participar, per poder presentar un projecte. Senyor Zoya, si és tan amable de donar una mica d'orientació amb aquestes consultes, sisplau.
Thanks to you. Absolutely, I will start. So the first question from Laura Safont, thank you. And the answer is yes. The priorities are the same. So you can apply to the call for proposals now, which is now open on the rights of the child. And then you can also apply later when the new call will open in November. And the priorities exactly are the same. You can try now, you will see how it goes. In the meantime, you will be able also to apply again. The second question on the number of partners. In general, we do have a minimum requirement of 2 partners. This is general. However, please look at the specific call for proposals because every call might have a requirement, but please let me once again say, in general, it's 2 partners as a minimum, at least two, which means that then it can be 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on, but at least 2. This is different, for instance, for town twinnings and network of towns. I know for there you need more, but again, these are different exceptions. But otherwise, in general, the minimum is 2. And for the number of countries, we don't have a number of countries minimum. It can be also 1 country, as long as there are at least 2 organizations from that country. So they can all come from the region of Catalonia, and they can all come from the other regions in Europe, or they can be also from different countries. Voila. And on the timeline, several call for proposals have closed. However, we will open them again this October, November. So once we will publish them in the funding and tender opportunities portal, you do know already what is coming up. I just presented to you, and in the work program, in the document, you do know already now what will be published in November. And I explain you and I show you the slides and the priorities and the activities and the results are already available. So I invite you now to have a look already what is coming out, because then in November, we will open the possibility in the funding and tender portal to submit proposal, to submit your projects. So you have time from now on to think, to develop a project idea, to look for partners. And then in November, once we will open in the funding and tender portal the opportunity to write concretely your projects, you will have around 3-4 months of time. The deadline will be around, I would assume, probably February next year, 2022, or so then there will be time for you to submit the proposals. This is for the timeline of November. For those that have closed, evaluation have started. But okay, I don't want to confuse you now with more information. So this is what I can say.
Molt bé. Moltíssimes gràcies de nou, senyor Solla. Hi ha una altra pregunta d'un dels espectadors que ens demana si les entitats que sense ànim de lucre, sense ànim de guany, de recent constitució, si es poden presentar també a les convocatòries o la Comissió Europea demana a les entitats que tinguin una certa antiguitat, és a dir, que estiguin constituïdes des de temps abans. Aquesta seria una primera qüestió i una segona qüestió que ens formula el Víctor Martínez de la Fundació Esplai diu les convocatòries són totes centralitzades, és a dir, hi ha alguna opció de que les agències nacionals gestionin una part dels fons? I d'altra banda, ens demana si hi ha alguna limitació o alguna recomanació en relació a la durada de l'execució del projecte. És a dir, si han de ser projectes d'1, 2 o més anys. De moment, senyor Solla, si pogués respondre a aquests dos dubtes, li formulo aquesta segona tanda de consultes i obrim una altra tanda. Moltes gràcies.
Thank you. So I'll reply. So you've asked, sorry, about the first question was about the time requested. I noted down. Sorry, what was the first question? I'm sorry.
Sí. És a dir, la pregunta versava sobre el següent. És a dir, les entitats de recent creació es poden presentar ja a les diferents convocatòries o bé l'entitat ha de tenir una trajectòria de vivència, si es pot dir així, per a presentar-se?
Sorry, I was mixed up. Please know, new organizations are very welcome to apply. Please, it's important, and this is my message to you, that we want to support all organizations. We're not looking to support every time the same organizations. Please, as much as diversified as you are and as much as you are new, you're very welcome to apply. The second point was about the management of centralized. So this project is managed here, is centrally managed, what we call. It means that the selections is done at the European Commission here and at the executive agencies. So the executive agency, it's an agency that we have here in Brussels, which also help the European Commission about the selection of projects. So it's managed by the DG Justice and Consumers, and the executive agency on education and culture. In this sense, it is not implemented via the national agencies, just like, for instance, Erasmus+. This is something different. So all the calls are launched from here, from Brussels, from the DG Justice or the agency. And then third question was the length of projects. Once again, usually it's always 2 years projects. However, please have a look, because I know once again that, for instance, on network of towns and town winnings, I think there it's a little bit different. And also I know that for the gender-based violence call for proposals, there we will allow for a 3 years project in time under the first priority. So there are some specificities according to the call. please have a look at the text, which says exactly the time. But in general, let's say it's 2 years project, 2 years.
Molt bé, moltíssimes gràcies. Crec que és absolutament pertinent, no? Conèixer cadascuna de les convocatòries i els requisits que cadascuna de les convocatòries estableix, no? Perquè és una garantia fer-ho bé i per obtenir els recursos. Una altra pregunta d'un oient, d'un seguidor, d'una persona que està seguint aquest webinar, ens demana si un festival de música i arts escèniques que promogui els valors d'igualtat i de no discriminació, per exemple, també podria presentar-se a aquestes convocatòries i per tant, obtenir finançament. Senyor Zoya, els festivals de música o els promotors d'aquests recursos de l'àmbit cultural i de les arts escèniques també serien elegibles? I una altra pregunta que ens formulen l'audiència diu: es pot presentar un projecte on totes les entitats siguin de diferents països o diferents regions o fins i tot d'un mateix país? És a dir, i fins i tot si són associacions públiques? Aquestes dues preguntes són les que ens han arribat ara i, senyor Zoya, li formulem per a donar més informació, sisplau.
Thank you very much. So, first question. We do have another program which is called Creative Europe. And this program actually is precisely for music, art festivals, and all the media and so on. So I would advise you to have a look actually at the calls for proposals and funding opportunities of Creative Europe first, because that might be probably your program that you're looking for. We try, funds, it's unfortunately it's limited, so we have to try to restrict in a way what we are looking for in the Citizens Equality Rights and Values program. As much as I would wish to fund everything, then if we start to fund everything, we may not reach any impact. So this is why I would advise you to look at the Creative Europe. However, it is also true that such festivals, they promote non-discrimination. So I don't want to give you false hope. So please look at the Creative Europe. If then you believe that you have like a theater play, we have been funding like theater plays or some sports, also event activities that promote non-discrimination. So yes, it is possible also. Have a look at the text of the call for proposals, and if you strongly feel that your activity in the art, it can also be funded via here. We have been doing so. Again, we have been funded some sports event. We have been funding theater play on the theater of Obsess. Well, we have been doing something also. So why not? But once again, I don't want to give you false hope. Maybe you have better chances also in the Creative Europe. The other question was about the different regions and countries. Yes, of course, you can come from different regions, from different countries, also within the same region or within the same country. And of course, public organizations are very much welcome to apply, as much as civil society organizations. We have certain calls which are only for public organizations, just like, for instance, the town twinnings and network towns. These are, okay, not only public, as public authorities even. But in general, we have some also restricted calls, as I've mentioned, on the call for proposals to fight racism and non-discrimination. we have a particular budget line only if you are applicant, if you are a public authority. So we do. Voilà.
Excel·lent, moltes gràcies. Tenim encara una altra pregunta de la Mireia Álvarez, de la Fundació Oxfam. Diu, el fet d'haver estat líder en una proposta finançable pel programa anterior, el programa Drets, Igualtat i Ciutadania, dona algun avantatge en la capacitat de liderar ara un projecte en el marc d'aquest nou programa o no és rellevant aquesta qüestió? Això per una banda, i em permeto també jo mateixa formular una qüestió, senyor Zoya. Vostè ha parlat del pla de treball del programa per l'any 21-22. Nosaltres, des del Govern de Catalunya, des de la Unitat de Fons Europeus, considerem que és molt útil llegir-se a fons aquests plans de treball perquè poden ajudar a la planificació dels projectes, de la presentació dels projectes. M'agradaria, sisplau, si pogués abundar una mica en què són els plans de treball i per què poden ser útils. Moltes gràcies.
Thank you. So the first is that if you were a leader in previous projects, you may have gained experience. However, it's an equal opportunities for all. So we just look, there is no score attributed to you or more points if you say that you were already implementing a project. So no, there is no more points of score that you gain. However, it is the experience that I'm sure you've gained and can be demonstrated throughout the presentation of your projects. So yes, this is what I can say. There are it's equal opportunities for all. So the new ones have the same chances as those that have been already implementing projects. And on the work program, so this is a document that now it covers 2 years, 2021 and 2022. It's a complete document. I have it here also in my hands. And it is important for you to read this program because you see the type of activities, the budget, and the funding opportunities that are currently published and that will be published. If I understand well your question, this helps you to know in advance what's coming. So this is for 2 years. So you know already, as I mentioned, what will be published in November. So you can see the activities, the results, the amount of money that we give to you, it's already there. And this will simply then be put into the internet, and it becomes a call for proposals where you click and you apply. But the principles are already in the work documents. So yes, it's very important that you can have a look now because it helps you. And we will probably be thinking also about a work program which covers 2023-2024. So next year, again, we will come up probably with a similar plan so that people can know in advance what's coming up.
Doncs moltíssimes gràcies, senyor Zoya. Jo crec que heu fet una magnífica anàlisi d'aquest recurs de finançament en l'àmbit de la memòria històrica, dels valors de la Unió Europea, de la ciutadania i drets, de la igualtat, etc. Estem arribant ja a la fi d'aquest seminari. Havíem previst acabar a les 11 del matí i falten escassos 4 minuts. I de moment no tenim més consultes, més preguntes ara mateix. Segur que que quan les entitats comencin a analitzar tota la documentació, tot el pla de treball, les diferents convocatòries, el portal, el participant portal, doncs les preguntes sorgiran i tant la Comissió Europea com el Govern de Catalunya o la Unitat de Fons Europeus del Govern de Catalunya podrem ajudar a resoldre aquestes qüestions i sobretot a aprofitar des d'aquí aquests recursos que ens ofereix la Comissió Europea, la Unió Europea. Senyor Zoya, ha estat un plaer una altra vegada comptar amb vostè en aquest webinar. Segurament, si em permet, tornarem a contactar amb vostè alguna altra ocasió per a continuar endinsant-nos en aquest programa. Li prenem la paraula i la disponibilitat, si ens permet. I bé, jo crec que com a cloenda podem animar, jo crec que és molt important que animem a les entitats que treballen en aquests àmbits pel que fa a memòria històrica, a col·lectius que es poden sentir discriminats, a aquelles entitats que treballen en l'òrbita dels drets, els valors europeus, la ciutadania, la no discriminació, etc., a que analitzin les possibilitats de finançament que ofereix el nou programa. Aquest nou programa que, com ha dit el senyor Zoya, ha començat ja a desplegar-se enguany, l'any 2021, però que no s'acaba el 2021, sinó que té una continuïtat el 2022, 2023 i fins al 2027. Com us he comentat anteriorment, les entitats de Catalunya, ja hi ha entitats de Catalunya que coneixen aquest programa o els programes precedents i, per tant, senyor Zoya, tindreu projectes de Catalunya també en les properes convocatòries i en les convocatòries que s'han publicat i que s'han tancat. Esperem que els resultats en aquest període siguin tan o més bons que en el període passat. Per tancar ja la jornada, recordeu, entitats que esteu seguint avui aquest webinar, que des del Departament d'Acció Exterior i Govern Obert, i en concret des d'aquesta unitat de fons europeus en la qual treballo, estem alerta de les diferents convocatòries que es van publicant. Nosaltres el que fem és tenim el radar posat en les diferents oportunitats de finançament, en aquesta que avui hem conegut més a fons, però també en altres programes de finançament i a través del butlletí electrònic que publiquem cada setmana i que podeu accedir-hi a la pàgina web dels fons europeus a Catalunya. Us alertem cada setmana de quan s'obren les convocatòries i quines són les prioritats i també de totes aquelles notícies que considerem que són importants pel conjunt de la ciutadania de Catalunya en matèria de finançament europeu, perquè la nostra voluntat, el nostre objectiu és aprofitar aquests recursos perquè, més enllà dels diners que això suposa per les entitats, nosaltres considerem que és una gran oportunitat per internacionalitzar-nos, que aquest és l'objectiu també global del nostre departament i en matèria d'acció exterior. Són les 11 del matí, objectiu acomplert. Moltes gràcies de nou a la Comissió Europea, al senyor Zoya per estar avui compartint aquests minuts amb nosaltres i desitjar a totes les entitats que hi participeu. Moltes gràcies també des de la Conselleria d'Acció Exterior i Govern Obert a la Taula d'Entitats del Tercer Sector Social de Catalunya per l'interès i per promoure la participació de les entitats en els fons europeus. Donem per acabar el webinar i moltíssimes gràcies per l'assistència i per l'interès i la participació de tothom. Fins a la propera.